Hey guys, welcome to today's video. For a second video in a row now, we're going to be out here in our new area where we've got full irrigation put in and where we're going to be filling this in with plants to grow out all summer that will be ready for us to sell either later in the summer or fall, but especially into next spring. And I'm standing right here beside this low tunnel. This wind up getting in the background of lots of videos, but earlier this year, very late winter, very early spring, we built this to give our plants protection from some very late season freezes that we had and just trying to help them along and be able to survive late season cold snaps. Well, we have long since taken the plastic off of that. We don't need that kind of protection anymore. And today we are going to take our time and cover this with shade cloth. So maybe something you see on today's video will be helpful for you. All we're going to do in order to do this today, a couple of things. We're going to take these 1x4s. This is a simple just piece of treated lumber, 1x4. These things are like $6 a piece, or at least they are where I live, $6 or $7 a piece. And we're going to fasten them on here somewhere about this height. And the reason I'm going to fasten them up above the ground is because I don't have a piece of shade cloth to cover this with that fits it size-wise. So I'm going to use what I have, and the pieces that I have, they're only going to come down to about right here, and that's just fine. These plants will not care at all, but these are hostas, and going through the hot summer, these are definitely going to need some shade protection over them in order for them to grow well and for them to be healthy. So to start with, we're going to take a 1x and just take some screws and fasten it directly to these, and we're going to do it the whole length of this all the way down to the end, which is about, give or take, about 30 feet. Now you may remember a few months ago, or if you didn't, you can certainly go back and watch it, but we built this low tunnel and we bent these pipes into place ourselves, and I use a pipe bender to get these a uniform shape, and there'll be a link down in the description below if you want to check out the pipe bender that I use for these, or for our big shade houses, all sorts of pipe benders. Check them out in the link below. But anyway, we bent these ourselves so we could make this whatever size we wanted, and at the time this is what we needed. So having done that, this is 10 feet wide. This is just electrical conduit. You can get it at any hardware store. It's 10 feet across here, but the width of our shade cloth is only about 8 feet. So it's going to be a little bit short, but for our purposes, which is making shade for our plants, it will work perfectly. So I'm going to take this board and fasten it right here on the end of this at about this height, because I know that that's about the width of my shade cloth. Like I said, it's not going to go all the way down to the ground, but I don't need it to. It's important when you're fastening wood to metal that you use the right kind of screws to do that with. And there's maybe some different things that you could use, or you could even put a bolt through there and put a nut and a washer on the back of it to fasten it. I like to use these self-drilling screws. This brand, Teaks, is a good brand. You can get them at your box stores, and it's called a wood to metal screw. And I don't really know what that means other than it's good for fastening wood directly to metal, and these screws will do that. And even though they're self-drilling screws, I like to just pre-drill the holes anyway. It seems like it just works better. So part of that's my ineptitude with a driver. But anyway, just get the holes in there. Just get the thing fastened. Do it however you want to do it. And don't make this harder than it is. All right, I've got this board here fastened down the end of it, my 1x4, and you know, something just to make sure that you understand if you've never worked with shade cloth, this is nothing like putting up plastic. Like, plastic catches every little breath of wind, you know, as plastic grabs it. It's like a parachute. Shade cloth is not that way at all. It doesn't have to be nearly as strong. It doesn't have to be near as secure because wind just passes right through it. So, you know, when you're building something like this, or you see what I've built here and you say, well, that's not very substantial. It doesn't have to be. It's just not necessary. You can build it however you want. You can build it overkill. I like to do that on a lot of things, but this is just not one of those things. All we need is a piece of shade cloth just to cover the plants and give them some shade. So that's all we're doing. Now, as I was talking about the shade cloth just a minute ago, I've had questions about this just from time to time, just because people don't know what it is. And this is the exact piece of shade cloth that I'm just about to put over this and kind of awkwardly attach it with our cable ties, our zip ties. But all this is basically screen. So some sunlight passes through it. This is a 50% shade cloth. It comes in different grades, you know, from 20 to 90 approximately. So you can get it really dense or you can get it where it's just a very light shade. But all this is just something that some sunlight passes through it, water passes through it as if it's not even there. So you don't have to make any adjustments for irrigation. You just irrigate like you always would and it passes right through the shade cloth, waters your plants perfectly, and you just go on with it and act like it's not even there. Yet at the same time, it's doing a fantastic job of keeping your plants a little cooler. It keeps the plants under it from getting so much direct sunlight, and it's really just a good thing to have, especially over the top of a plant like a shade-loving hosta. Now, as you can see, we've hung this up. It's not particularly perfect, but it will do a perfect job of shading the plants. And all we've done is taken zip ties and tied it over the hoops. We put a couple of screws in it here or there. It really doesn't matter how you get it up, just get the thing up. Take some wire and you can wire it up, or if you got some kind of clamps, you can clamp it. But it doesn't need to be tremendously strong. Again, just it doesn't catch a lot of wind. So we're going to do the second half of it now with a shade cloth that will pretty much mirror this one, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. All right, folks, so we've got it finished. There's around 400 plants under it right now. May build another one of these over there, may extend this one longer that way. Not sure exactly, but we've got a lot more hostas to deal with and a lot more astilbes and other shade plants to deal with. So really happy with the way this little project turned out. First time we've ever done one exactly like this, but you can see the irrigation just flowing right through it, no worries at all. And it can just stay like this while these plants grow under here with some shade cover all summer long. So really thrilled about that. Well, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us. I love y'all, and we'll see you on the next one.